Okay guys, we're going to give you a basic intro here to editing a video in Adobe After Effects. We're going to start by moving our video files here into our project folder. We're just going to cut and paste those in. I've already went ahead and made a few folders into our project folder, and we're going to put those in the sources. We'll just paste them in there and close out of this. And we'll go ahead and load up Adobe After Effects here and get started. Give it a couple seconds here to load up. Here we go. Just hit OK on this. Usually just leave the tips up. First thing I like to do is go up and save my work. Go ahead and select our projects folder, and we'll rename this. You can go ahead and rename it whatever your file is, but for this we're going to do an Adobe Edit. We'll open multiple files here. We right click to open, select our two files, go ahead and hit done. Now we take a look. Our resolution is 640 by 480. We like to take note of that, take note of the time here, check our time code. Notice it's almost 1:30. Check our other one. Notice it's 5 seconds. Notice it's 5. So we go ahead and make our first composition. And that's composition tab. Go ahead and change our aspect ratio here. Do we rename it? Make sure you click the aspect ratio lock off if it needs to be. We check our duration. Make sure everything's good. We're going to go ahead and change our duration here to 2 because we don't need 3. That duration runs minutes, seconds, and frames. Now we'll go ahead and double click our first video we want to edit. It's going to bring us into the footage tab. Here we can scroll through and look at our footage that we're starting with. We're going to go ahead and select the first part where we want to cut at. Then we're going to go ahead and select the back part where we're going to cut at. Now we have this nice little green bar here of just the video that we want for the first little section here. We just go through and scroll through, make sure that's what we want, and go ahead and hit the overlay button. It's going to put us into the first little section here in our composition. Go ahead and we'll select the second video there, and we're going to go ahead and try to find this section that we want. And we find the first selection for the end time. We go ahead and that time we just inserted it instead of overlaid it because we want that at the beginning. Now we'll go ahead and move our slider down to the end of our timeline. We went back up to the footage tab and our composition. We overlaid the next part in. Now we want to add one more piece there. So we're going to take and go back to our other one, make it a little longer, a little shorter on that one. Just change it up. Go ahead and move our timeline bar again. Go back up to our footage and overlay it in. Now if you want to change your composition format or size or anything, and you mess something up when you were doing your composition, you can go back to your composition settings. Now as we scroll through we see all of our pieces there, so we're going to go ahead and take and move our timeline up and shorten our work area bar. I like to make my work area bar just where we're going to be using it. And then I'll bring our timeline bar back and I like to use the slider just so that we're only looking at the work that we're going to be doing at the time. Have it a little nicer there. We're going to go ahead and move that one to the bottom so it's kind of stair steps up. It makes for a nicer workflow, at least for me. Now we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of fade with the black here. We'll go ahead and hit the opacity. We just hit the little hourglass to set a keyframe. We notice our time. We slide it up a little bit there. The first number is keyframes. Your second one is seconds there at the end. Then it goes minutes and hours. We'll go ahead and redo our opacity back up to 100% to bring the picture back. Here I just move it back and bring it forward to set a keyframe and move it to the end. You can hold shift and it'll snap to the ends. I changed our opacity back to 0. Now I'm going to do the same thing with our second piece of video. Just change the opacity, set a couple keyframes, do it up again. Now we have these two fading from black together. Go ahead and move my work bar down to just that area that we were modifying so that I can do a preview render and see how it's going to look here in a second. Scroll through, make sure we kind of got it set up. Turn our audio off because we're not going to be using the audio from here, just the visuals for this. You can go ahead and change your resolution there to full or third or half or quarter there if your computer's starting to run slow. We go up and we hit the preview render button and we can see how our video looks and how it's going to play actually. Make sure our transition's how we want it. Now if we want to take and shorten it up a little bit just to play that little section, we can do that. And now we're going to make it a crossfade basically, where one picture's still in the frame when the other one crosses, but they still have the fade. Gives you that nice little look. We'll go ahead and preview render that and see how it looks. If you like how that is, you just keep going. Now we'll take and move our work bar out. We'll go down to our next section that we want to edit. Sometimes you just want to do a hard cut, bring everything in to space it all together. Now that we've got everything set where we want it to go, and we've got our work bars all set up, we're going to go ahead and move everything back out, move our work bar area to the end of our videos. Go ahead and make a new composition. This one we're going to just make the length of time that our timeline is, or our work area. We'll just swap the time over to the 48:29 or 48 seconds, 29 frames. Go ahead and make sure the resolution is the right. I'm going to go ahead and rename this to our final, since this will be our final output. Now we have our final and our vids composition still. We're going to go ahead and select our vids composition and drag that down to our final. Now that'll take anything that we have in our vids composition and put it in the final in one nice clean bar. Exactly how long our work bar area is. But we realize we don't have sound, so we go back to our vids and we figure out which one we want to use our audio from for our video, and we take and drag that down to the bottom. So we'll go ahead and drag that down there. And we don't need the video, so we'll uncheck that and just leave the audio. Now if you want to go down into the settings here You can make it a little louder or quieter and set it keyframes just like you did with the fade to black. Check out the waveform just if you want to time it for music or something like that. Now if you hold down Control as you scroll, you'll be able to scroll with the sound also. Notice the little blue bar below the video. If you hold Control, it'll play just a little snippet of audio there. Now we can go ahead and go back to our final and notice that we have audio there with our video. Everything seems to be working okay. We're going to make sure that we save this. Control S is your short key for it. You should be doing this every 5-10 minutes just in case it crashes. We'll go ahead and add some effects here, just basic starters. I mean, auto color, auto contrast, auto levels. You can go ahead and go mess with these. Just for fun, we're gonna add in a equalize. You can go under here, under your tools, and adjust all the settings on all of them and really mess with the video a whole lot and get very in depth. Now that we have everything ready, we'll go ahead and make our movie. I like to rename them Test and Test 1 just in case something screws up. You can always rename it if it's good. We go down here to Best Settings, make sure all the settings are right. The biggest thing I like to make sure is whether this is set for work bar area or entire composition. I always like to go with work bar, just sometimes I'm not rendering the full thing. Just hit OK. We go up here to our render settings basically. I like to use a H264 just because it's small for videos on the internet there most often. We'll go ahead and switch it over there and go to our format options. For most cases, for just like I say the size, I just go with the preset of the Apple iPod large. Makes for a pretty decent little thing for shooting on the internet. You notice that it says set the keyframe to set the dimension to 640 by 480 in the stretch. You notice that the estimated file size, what it's going to be kilobytes a second on how long. Go ahead and hit OK. I always just make sure to hit stretch on when using these, just even if the video is the same size. And we'll hit OK. Double check everything here. Looks good. And we'll hit OK. And if you want to change where it's saved to at the last minute, you can always go back to there, but we'll just leave it where it's at. Let's go ahead and hit render. Now this will render out and it'll take a few seconds. We notice that the estimated time there, it'll give us how long it's going to take, how long is elapsed, how much RAM it's using, how many frames, what frame it's on, all that good stuff. Alright, it's all rendered. Now we can take and minimize out of this and go check out our video.